Hi everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I've got a couple holiday cards featuring a really sweet little wafer die called the Ho Ho Deer Circle. I love this little guy. I think he's super cute, and I think there are a lot of ways you could have fun with this for your holiday cards and projects. I've got a couple cards to share. They're both pretty similar, just a little different in design. So let's take a look at the products I'm using today. Here he is, the little Ho Ho Deer Circle. And I'll take him out of the package here so you can see about how big he is in the palm of my hand. I think it's maybe 2 inches, 2¼ inches. I should have measured that before I started talking, but I'm not always thinking like that because I'm overwhelmed by the cuteness. All right, I'm also using this word and shadow die, but I'm only going to be using the word portion today. It cuts out the word joyful and the shadow layer. So you can have a lot of fun with that for holiday projects. I've also got Tabbed Sentiments Holiday. Now this actually goes with a die set that I have that cuts out all these cute tabs, but it works great just for stamping and embossing sentiments for your cards. Got some embossing ink and some white embossing powder. And I'm going to be using just one design from this nitpicky paper pad. This is about a year old, I think, from last year. And I've got some cardstock, a little red velvet from Gina and Kraft, along with some Neenah Solar White and a bit of Hero Arts Black. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my circle out of a 3 3/4 inch panel that I trimmed down. I'm going to poke out his eyes and nose, and there's step 1. Step 2 is to take some scraps of both black and red so I can get his little eyes poked out. That sounds wrong. I don't want to poke his, you know what I mean. And the nose. So now I have the eyes and the nose that I can place back in. The way I like to do this is flip my die cut over, take some of the really thin micro pour tape. I just cut a tiny piece to place over each area that I'm going to fill in because it works really well as a simple way to adhere those popped out pieces. So I'll just cover that, cover his little nose, cover his eyes, and then flip it over, exposing the sticky side, and surprisingly it actually holds it really well. So I'm just popping in the red nose and then popping in both of the eyes. And I just think it just brings it to life, you know, having his little Rudolph red nose. Because I'm not stating unequivocally that it's Rudolph, but I think we all know. And there you go. So cute. Next, I'm going to emboss a sentiment, and this sentiment is part of the Tabbed Holiday. And there are just a lot of different sentiments on this set, and this one, well, I guess I am calling him Rudolph because it really does specifically say Rudolph sends his love. Now, if you ever get excess powder where you don't want it, just take a dry brush and brush it off, and then I'll heat set that really quickly. Next, I'm going to use some of my sentiment labels from Simon Says Stamp to cut a perfect strip, run that through my die cut machine, and then I'll tape that down and use one of the little the banner notches. And I like to tape that into place too, just so that it doesn't shift, and then I will repeat that on both sides to create a perfectly notched little sentiment banner. My card is going to be a little square card, 4 1/4 square. So I'm going to score it, fold it down, and give it a nice press with the bone folder. And I always like to tape my cards close so they stay flat while I'm trying to assemble. And there's my little Kraft card base. I've got a piece of this nitpicky paper, and I cut it just enough so that it will easily fill that opening. And I'll just use a little bit of my dot runner, place that right down in the center. Yep, that lined up great. And now I've got foam tape all over the back of the deer panel. And I'm just going to line this up with that nice little bit of Kraft margin space on the edges. Looks great. And the last bit is to pop up my sentiment right in the center. I was going to add some more things, but I thought, nope, clean and simple, good to go. So let's move on to the second card. I went ahead and used the joyful die to cut out 3 joyful words, and I'm going to glue them together off, well, I'm going to spray off camera because this stuff I do not like to breathe in or get anywhere near my camera, which is actually my iPhone. You know, you just don't want spray mount on this sort of thing. But all I'm going to do is glue 3 together so that I get that nice bit of dimension. And I just wanted to show you this. I don't always nail it the first time. It takes me a while. They always make it look easier on camera, and by they, I guess I mean me. Well, you know what I'm saying. But I've got foam tape on the back of this, and now you can see I've offset my circle on this particular panel, and I'm putting this just on an A2 card base. It's 5.5 by 4.25. And then to add the stacked word, I'm going to just use a little liquid adhesive, and I kind of like the liquid for this step because it just lets me wiggle it around a bit. And then to add the little dot over the J, I think it's easier just to put it on whatever your project is and glue and stack that way, because they're just so tiny that this method is a lot easier to get that same triple layer of dimension. And there you go. Now the dot is over the J, and I had a little excess glue. I just wiped it away with my finger. All right. Popping up the little sentiment, and I did that off camera. And then for a little more shine for this card, I'm just going to layer in some Simon Says Stamp sequins around the card, and I like to just use my tweezers and a craft pick and a little liquid adhesive, work my way around, get it all glued on there, and that just adds a nice bit of shine to the card. So those are my two cards, very similar in design and color, but I think this is a really fun die cut that you could do a lot with for your holiday cards and projects. Thanks so much for watching today, and I would love to have you become a subscriber to my channel, and I will see you back here with more card projects soon.